So for anyone that is watching the recording, I forgot to record the first little part of the meeting, but you just missed a little breakout room. And we were using this platform called Padlet, and we were kind of writing about how we felt about starting the intramural year. So I'm just going to share my screen. So all the people on the recording, we kind of just talked about how we feel about returning, reopening, what kind of summer program we're doing. And then our breakout room one was obstacles and challenges to reopening. So I will actually share this link along with the recording so everyone can see all the comments and answers that were discussed. If you are watching the recording, you didn't miss much. Okay, so does anyone from their breakout group want to kind of discuss quickly what they talked about or anything? Yeah, any volunteers? You can raise your hands or unmute yourself. Don't be shy.
I can chat quickly here about mention one challenge that we mentioned was with the summer with programming. It's been nice being able to run sports outdoors, and it's a little bit easier to run those. So transitioning to indoor once we hit to the fall, that'll be a challenge with space and with COVID guidelines and adjusting to running sports indoor versus running sports outdoors.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Sure, I guess I can quickly share as well. I guess we talked about the difference between provincial guidelines as well as then what will be allowed by each of our institutions. So that difference there and how participants, students take that, as well as then students, like being unable to gauge students' interest in being back to programming. So whether their interest is more in those individual sports that then are kind of more distance versus then jumping right back into team sports and different things that way. So just unsure of students' interest levels as well when it gets to programming and being able to offer different things.
Cool. Thanks, Megan. Yeah, I saw a lot of. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say in our group, we talked about challenges and like just that unknown of what's going to happen in the fall. And then like student staff training. Speaking personally, I have like very few senior leaders coming back. And then we also talked about some schools are able to mandate like in residence, students have to be vaccinated. And I know on our campus, that's going to be a no, we won't be allowed to do that. So it's just that interesting conversation of what schools are able to do and what some are.
Yeah, staff is huge with us too. Like, I guess almost like a double cohort of people graduating and then also a year of not having any new staff members that can kind of go through the ropes a little bit. Another thing I had was like maybe we'd have to add gaps between games to sanitize kind of the playing area. So then obviously you wouldn't be able to maybe take as many teams because your field time is kind of, cut down a bit. So do you shorten your regular season game schedule to take the same amount of teams? Like has anyone ever thought about that? Or you think we should keep to the normal season schedule or try and get as many people in as possible, as many teams in as possible, reduce the season? Any thoughts?
One thing that we did while we're like sporadically able to play some games in the last season would take an hour and turn it into 50 minutes, right. Just to allow for the changeover. We have a limited time, and instead of shortening or limiting the amount of teams, I'd rather just shorten the time a little bit and still allow the same number of teams.
That makes sense. So you just shorten your game time and add the block in. Makes sense.
Yeah, we did a mix of both as well. So in the fall, we were able to offer soccer and soccer baseball. And we did like a 40-minute game time, like 2 20-minute halves, and put it in a 75-minute like time period. So then kind of lengthened the amount of time between to make sure that everyone left from the previous game before the new people were showing up.
Cool. All right, then maybe we'll move on to breakout room number 2. Was 10 minutes good? Long enough to chat? Sweet. Yeah, so you'll be in your same rooms. So breakout room 2 is just maybe the changes and adjustments you might have already made if you've started some programming or started some planning, or adjustments you think would be appropriate or smart, whether it's to the programming itself, to the league rules or the sports rules itself, to kind of eliminate maybe potential contact. Yeah, everything and anything is good to comment in there. Just get it all down. We can always look back on this and kind of use it to help brainstorm ideas for the fall. So I will open the rooms again, and you have another 10 minutes to chat. All right, I hit recording again. So I did pause the recording while we were in our second breakout room, but we are using Padlet online. So all the thoughts were written down. So I'll share again those thoughts with everyone that's watching the recording. Anyone from their breakout room want to talk about what they discussed?
I can say something. We went a little bit down the route of esports. I'm at Okanagan College in Kelowna, and we attempted to do a bit of esports engagement, but there wasn't a huge uptake. And so I learned a couple of things about how a lot of students who are doing esports are already doing it in the mainstream leagues and events, which is helpful to know. And I just wondered if anybody else had esports success or not so much.
We actually, when we did our total numbers at the University of Ottawa, we had more success with our game nights total. And we found the same people who were, we were getting different people registering for different times we did on esports. So each time we're like, okay, what do we need to do different next time? Like, why aren't these people coming back and submitting surveys? 2 days was great for some, days were fine for another. We tried doing a league, play whenever you want during it, just set up the match. That didn't work. So it's definitely like a different type of environment than Intramurals, where we're very much like schedule-based, league-based, night of play. So yeah, to say, I probably just presented more problems than answers, but we have tried a lot. But the game nights were very well received, and I think will act as a springboard into like the social setting of why people join Intramurals at our university.
Yeah, I feel like I had this kind of same problem as you, Catherine. A lot of people are already playing esports elsewhere. So we actually have an esports club on campus, and I've tried to reach out to them kind of multiple times to get some collaboration going, but they haven't really answered. So yeah, we were kind of more just a casual esports league, but we are trying to kind of get into the more competitive environment.
Well, and interesting what Amy just said about, I mean, not everybody, but the people doing esports, and maybe not the people who are doing intramurals, but we thought with the lack of physical sport, maybe more people would take up esports, but obviously it is two different types of athlete, I guess, most of the time.
Anyone else want to share what their group discussed?
I'm in that same group. I just had the question about pricing. So some of the people in our group have done intramurals over the spring, summertime and offered it for free. So I was just kind of curious in terms of the fall, what our group was thinking in terms of pricing, but yeah, I hadn't thought about the free option, but from a student engagement perspective, it's maybe not a bad idea. But we'll probably look at pricing structure maybe a little bit different. Although what we're doing in other areas is we're charging a little bit more because of all the safety protocol and sanitization, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, just something to think of for everybody there.
Specifically esports or everything?
For intramurals in general.
Yeah, I guess for us, it comes down to the student fees when they come back in the fall. I think the university plans on it being full, but I don't know. Because that's basically the university and the student association kind of came up with an agreement. So they paid less student fees, but everything we had to offer basically became free. So we tried our best to offer what we could, but I think if we go back to the old model of full student fees, then I think we'll go back to our normal team fees. Anyone else with thoughts on pricing?
We thought about starting our leagues after Thanksgiving to give everything a chance to get started in the fall, because it'll be crazy and hectic. So we thought about reducing our round robin games, usually play 6 weeks to 4 weeks, and then going into playoffs and charging a little less. Well, whatever 2 games are, less of the whole cost. So probably about 25 to 30% less at Western.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. For indoor sports especially, I don't think we need to maybe rush into those as much, but for maybe the outdoor ones where restrictions are already a little less and we don't have much time in Canada with the outdoor season. But yeah, I definitely plan on taking my time with the indoor season. Any other changes, adjustments, ideas that you have coming into the fall that you want to share?
We talked about just a lot of the changes have to do with our province and going down to 50 people per league. So that makes it difficult when you can only really have the 2-hour time blocks and leagues with a lot of 4 teams. And then just the rules being a challenge with participants. So something we're doing is we typically have a captain's meeting, but what we're doing this fall is we're doing an online quiz for all players. So when they come in and show their ID, they're actually going to have to take a quiz on the rules too. So, and just like a quick 8 to 10 questions. We haven't put it together yet because we have no idea what is going on really at this point. But just so everyone's in the know, because we found when people came last September, they weren't. So just something we're trying to correct. So more participants are coming in with a better knowledge of what to expect from the facility, staff, sport, and referee itself.
I'm going to jump on that issue with the 50 people. If we did that, we had challenges with that as well. And if you can make most sports, if you have 4 teams in a group, it works out pretty well for the 50. If you can get the 3 games before reading week, you can use the reading week as a buffer and then reconfigure all the divisions because it's been 2 weeks since they've last participated. So that's one of those things that you can do. It makes it really tight before reading week. But if you can cram them in there, then you can do that really quick switch.
Cool, thanks for sharing. Any other thoughts, comments? I've noticed just kind of looking at your provincial sport organizations, they often have modified rules for each activity. So for ultimate, for example, in terms of the stall count, you would be further away from the person, but they would have less stalls to throw the disc. So there are adjustments depending on the sport. So I think if you just look up kind of what your provincial sport leaders are doing, it can give you a sense of what's possible in terms of rule adjustments. Just kind of looking over the comments on Padlet. Could run virtual staff training, lawn games. I like that. Yeah, just as many outdoor activities as possible. Not switching sides at half. Contact tracing for leagues. Screening tool before competition. Again, rule changes to reduce contact. I even heard basketball, no posting up. I don't know how that would work, but I was talking to our varsity basketball coach, and his daughter just played in a tournament over the weekend, and they were not allowed to post up. So maybe zone defense only allowed. Could be an adjustment, but yeah, you got to think outside the box, I guess. I did have a third breakout, but we are running a bit short on time, so maybe you can just add to it the tab on a tablet there. But it's basically, do you think any of these rules will stick post-COVID, or do you plan on keeping virtual programming and esports? Do you have any other virtual events that's been super popular, or any other unique ideas? You can just share. You can unmute and share, or you can write on tablet. Again, I'll share my screen for those on the recording. So keeping esports for sure. I'm going to plug the Canadian Collegiate Esports League right now, something a lot of us have been working on across the country, basically a Canada-wide esports league. So someone from Quebec could play someone from BC. So we've been trying to get that up and running. So if you're interested in kind of getting some of your students involved in that, you can shoot me an email. No more captains meetings, virtual quizzes. Yeah, one thing I've done is, with kind of the downtime we've had, it's kind of an opportunity to maybe rethink some of the things you're doing, or if you've had a crazy idea that you haven't had the time for, maybe this summer is the time to do it. So I've kind of revamped our whole staff training process. So I've actually put it onto, at McGill, it's called My Courses, but it's basically where all the students access their course information. So we were actually able to create a course for staff training. So within there, we can add sports specific folders. We can add all our rules. We can run virtual quizzes. We can kind of track what documents they're opening and what they're reading, kind of have all our onboarding documents there as well, a checklist of things they need to get done before their first shift. So that's kind of been my pet project with a little bit more downtime. But I think it is a good opportunity to, you kind of have a blank slate in some areas. Anyone want to ask the group anything else before we log off? Any burning questions or thoughts, comments?
I have one thought that I think it'd be interesting to do a follow-up at the end of the fall term to kind of see where and what will be happening for the winter term. So anyway, just a thought. I'll send that to Sandra and Ryne and whoever else is curious to see what our conversation will be like, maybe December or November for winter term.
Sure, yeah. Amy?
And to build off that, Tanya, I definitely would love to see that, but I'd also even like to see where everyone's at in like end of July, almost like before we get into the fall. Yeah, because I'm kind of just, I'm working, I'm doing other things. But yeah, I haven't really touched much of our programs lately just because of waiting for regulations and stuff. So I'm curious to see what other people are doing entering the fall as well.
yeah, I'm going like 3 weeks of vacation in July, and then it's just August is there, and then August always goes so fast. So boom, it's October already.
I think since our crazy premiere is opening up, as we discussed in our rooms, we're going full bar July 1st. So I'll give you guys an update later on how the chaos goes. we're the guinea pigs, 100%. See how it goes. And just so everybody else knows, I'm not overly excited about that because we're still remaining as cautious as we can be. But it is very interesting because we have no restrictions. So I'll let you know how it goes on our end. That's for sure. It's kind of nuts.
And is your university kind of following that, or are they going to have their...
No, they haven't made the decisions yet. That's still being discussed. I'm assuming they'll still stick with some mask policies and stuff like that, for sure. I hope, but we'll see. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining.
I'm gonna be the little cheerleader, like way to go team. Sorry, Ryan, I was gonna say, I'm gonna be the little cheerleader because we're all in this together. So just do what you can do, you guys. And yeah, I look forward to connecting again later as well. Sorry, Ryan.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'll send the meeting, the recording, and I guess you have the Padlet link, so you can always refer to it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks again for joining.
Thanks, Ryan.
Adios.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. See you guys.
Thanks,